planted in any of them is canola for this month only. Next month, our local friends are going to be putting out wheat and oats and barley and canola, and we're gonna have a very high probability of having crop in the ground when we buy a field. And we're not going to have our canola income until November, so that's also a thing. Oh, this is going to be a little bit of fun. And I'll let you guess why. As I said, the John Deere is ready for planting. Okay, I'm going to set the worker off on this one now that it's ready to go. It's all set for canola. The tank is full. That's one of the advantages with our setup at the moment for slurry. This tractor can actually quite happily haul the slurry trailer. Can't do anything with manure, but slurry trailer is within this tractor's capacity. Now, I was watching, I think it's driver 53. He's done a little analysis on when to fertilize. And it turns out that our previous testing, I was very averse to adding fertilizer when I'm adding seed. And part of the reason was, I think, early on in Farm Sim, if you've got crop sensors, the crop sensors need to see a crop. So they can't see a crop in this field. If I'm planting the field, they still can't see a crop, so they don't know how much nitrogen any particular plant in the field is going to require. And so if you tried to fertilize while you were planting, you had the baseline requirement of the crop. You could do automatic fertilizing, but crop sensors wouldn't adjust properly. You would have to come back once you can see green things growing out of the ground with a sprayer and your crop sensors on and do the fertilization at that point. Now, driver 53 has run a test pretty much this last week, which Giants fixed something. So now you can turn on your crop sensors and seed and fertilize at the same time and get the maximized environmental score and the best levels of fertilizer. So my aversion to not having a fertilizer tank on this seeder has now been eliminated. We could put fertilizer down while we're seeding. Now, I'm not going to spend money on putting a fertilizer tank on this seeder because I don't want to keep it for much longer. I want a bigger seeder. I just don't have the money to do it. Why isn't... Oh, okay, seeds are going down, so that's good. We can go jump back in the poop truck and head over to the other foot yard. So yes, that was a change in how fertilization works. So we don't have to wait until until there is crop in the ground before we fertilize. And this is where I was saying this is going to be fun. This is a really steep hill. And this tractor is going to struggle with 35,000 litres of manure. 15 kilometres an hour. It's not too shabby. I've seen worse. I'm sure if I opened the back and started spreading manure all over the ground, we'd slow down to about 1 kilometre an hour. But we're kind of good for now. So yes, so we could fertilise at the same time we're seeding. and our next seeder might do that. However, another test by somebody else, might have been Pharmacop, the relative price of fertilizer. Now, the selling opportunity for manure and slurry would actually cover the usage or the purchase of solid or liquid fertilizer. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if I sold all our manure, I could buy fertilizer and fertilize all my fields with it and still have fertilizer to spare, or extra money to spare. So it's actually more sense to not use manure and slurry. In fact, digestate might be an opportunity, because digestate you get paid for making it. You bring the manure down to the BGA, you need to own the BGA. It creates digestate, which you then spread on your field, but you got paid for supplying the manure to the BGA. What does that mean? That means that, okay, digestate is better, but you get less, you put in manure, you get less digestate out. So it's not a one-for-one thing. You lose some of the capacity. But you're going to use as much digestate on a field as you would have manure. Solid fertilizer is and liquid fertilizer are always going to cost you money. But liquid fertilizer goes further. You can spray more liquid fertilizer on a field for benefit than you spray or than you spread solid fertilizer. So that would seem to indicate, and I'm going to have to look it up, so we're going to empty this tank before I do that. Basically the thing there is, if you spread solid fertilizer, you're going to have to take, as an example, you need 4,000 litres of solid fertilizer. You can probably get away with, guessing 3,500 litres of liquid fertilizer. So you need to take less to a field. Now, how are we doing? Still got 10,000 in there. What I will check as soon as I've done this, or as soon as this cart is empty, is I will look up what the prices for solid and liquid fertilizer are and see if there's any difference in effective cost. I think there is, and so it's actually cheaper to spray than it is to solid. But again, it depends. Do you have a sprayer or do you have a solid spreader? At least with the sprayer you can, and there we go, empty. So we'll close that down and we'll go off to the store and okay, pallets. Liquid fertilizer is 3,200 for 2,000. So for 1,000 it's 1,600. I think these are somewhat of the cheapest. 18,020 for 1,000 litres. So you get 1,000 litres of liquid fertilizer for $200 less than you get 1,000 litres of solid fertilizer. So again, solid fertilizer is the cheaper option for increasing the nitrogen levels in your field. So spraying is the best by finance concerns. Solid is probably the next best, and then manure and slurry are the worst because you could sell them for more than you would pay to do it with liquid or solid fertilizer, especially liquid fertilizer. But again, my argument is I've got an absolute ton of manure and slurry, and there is nowhere on the map I can sell it all quicker than I'm making it. So yeah, there's that. I think I'm probably going to fill this up halfway ish. Maybe just over 15. There we go. Because we've only got one strip left on that field to do. We don't have anything else to put that on. And how much do we have left here? Oh, 208,000, yeah. I think we're up 50,000 since yesterday, after spreading these two fields. So, it is what it is. But anyway, it's, yeah, as far it would appear that as far as the environmental score is concerned, I can now fertilize at the same time as I am planting, so long as I have crop sensors on the tractor I'm using. Now what that means, if I buy a really big seeder, I am going to need to buy a I'm either going to have to put crop sensors on this tractor, or I'm going to have to buy one of those 3-point active sensors. And part of the reason for that is if we buy a tractor to use with our liquid sprayer, it's going to have to share tasks of fertilizing. I can seed and fertilize. I'm going to need crop sensors on this tractor, and then the tractor I'm using on the sprayer, which is by preference smaller and thus cheaper to maintain. It's just a better plan all round to just say, you know what, we need sensors on two tractors, not just the one that we have. And I don't think if I buy a big seeder, the Deutz will not be able to pull it, or probably won't be able to pull it. And okay, swing around here, and I'm just going to run this empty, because frankly we don't have any way of emptying the manure in this truck. I can turn off GPS. Thank you. So, Danish Doctor, hey, welcome to the stream. And so how is everybody doing today? I haven't asked that yet. As I mentioned, family's doing okay. Kids will be around later. Mrs. Osa and teenage Osa should be leaving in getting on for half an hour, which kind of means unload rate on that has died, so we'll just go. So I think I've got soybeans in the far end, and then soybeans across the road, and again we're going to have to nitrogenate those fields later. I do have a spreader, I do have a sprayer, but generally I will buy the sprayer first. Spreader I pretty much only use for limes, so when we're starting out a new farm, I will lease a spreader to lime the fields that need to be limed that we're starting out with, because that's a thing that needs to get done. But and then we don't need the spreader for the next 2-3 years while the pH is being changed at each harvest. A sprayer I will buy almost immediately, because we're going to be spot spraying and we're going to be fertilizing with it. So it just makes sense to have a sprayer over a spreader. Now that the farm's in the state it's in, I kind of don't need I can justify having a spreader on the farm. Actually, the spreader might be the thing I leased and then just said, oh, to heck with it, I'm buying. There were 3 things. Spreader was one, and the milk truck, which is sitting just there, was another one. So yeah, I cannot unload this cart. There is no way to unload this, at least not that I'm aware of. So I'm just going to park it up here. I might come along later and wash out the back. So now the tractor has done its dirty tasks. We can get it cleaned. Oh, now there's an idea. Right, cleaned up the tractor. Let's put that down. It just occurred to me. Mineral feed. 10,000 litres, yes. Oh, 13,200. Good grief. Now, that's the other thing we have established through testing is that mineral feed makes absolutely no difference to the health of cows. Just like straw content of your TMR doesn't make a difference to the health of cows. You really, you don't need to spend money on it. Hay is free to get, straw is free to get, silage is free to get. The only thing that you might want to be concerned with is, there we go, what the value of those products is on the market. So it's free to get straw, but straw's not very valuable. So the more of it you use in your TMR, the lower value the TMR is conceptually. It's much, if you want to make money, sell the silage, not the straw or the hay. If you've run out of silage, then sell the hay, not the straw, because you'll get more money from selling those things. Doink. But with TMR, the mineral feed is just a cost. It's always going to cost you. It's the most expensive thing you can buy. I guess the thing with the straw hay TMR cost is you can go to the store and buy a bale of hay, and it's cheaper than going to the store and buying a bale of silage. I think we can prove that. A round bale of hay is $9.80. A round bale of silage is twice the value, or twice the cost. So if you've got a field, I would bale and wrap it rather than ted and bale it, because I can then go to the store and buy some hay for less than I would buy the silage. With straw, again, it's even cheaper. So don't use up all of your costly stuff. Use straw to pad out the TMR mix so that that's not costing you an arm and a leg. But if you can make it for free, it's not really costing you anything, you're just not able to sell it. And that's kind of what we're doing here. Is we make a batch of hay, and then everything else we create with grass is silage, and we sell it because silage has the most value to us when we sell it. And really, I'm almost at the point with the stocks of straw that we have on the farm, I'm kind of at the point where if I'm doing a harvesting contract, I'm not going to take the straw from it, because I have to put a tractor on the field with a baler, I have another tractor with the bale collector, and quite frankly, I can't be bothered with the additional workload, and it's going to cost me to run those pieces of equipment. So, yeah, why do it? Let's try and get that in there. Do you think we're done with the John Deere for now? I think we are done with the John Deere for now. So if I can get it disconnected from the trailer. So yeah, I did straw yesterday or earlier today on the wheat field just to the south of our farm, because I felt I needed the straw and it wasn't too far to ship it, and it's all coming to my yard. But straw has so little value, I don't think it's worth the extra hassle making it in order to sell it for £2,000 per bale trailer. Okay, let's get this thing back to the yard now. Hopefully I can figure out which side to fix. We're gonna have to put it through the cow yard into the shed for maintenance, because it's kind of short. Checking on the seeder, that's 89% full, so again, that's the thing with the canola. You don't use a lot of seed to plant a big area. So it's a good starting crop. It's a good money crop. We don't own the oil mill. I could buy it, but that's like £70,000, and I don't think we grow enough canola to warrant it yet. Our main, arable production is really cereal seeds. So up until now we've done oats, barley, not so much wheat and sorghum, but we could do. But we're producing those crops, they turn into flour, that turns into bread, that makes more money than just selling the crops on the market. So I think we make about 6,000 per 2 days. So getting close to 10,000 a month producing bread. And that's not selling at the best time because of our artificial rule of selling perishables at least once every month. All of them. Yeah, and that's part of what I was saying. Also, I'm playing on hard mode, so I'm not making as much money as you are on silage, quite possibly. But I can make about 20,000 on a full trailer of large silage bales. I think. Might be wrong on that. I would have to look back at past episodes to see if I'm right, but I think it's about 24,000 per bale. And we're making the biggest bales. I have the Anderson bale wrappers, so they're capable of wrapping the biggest bales. And at the moment we are a round bale farm. I could change to a square bale, because we did swap out our round Anderson extractor for the hybrid, which does round and squares, because that came up on a store sale, and I figured, oh, that's probably a good thing to do for future expansion of the farm. I have a round bale wrapper, which I tend to use for contracts because it's less equipment to take out to the field, and if I was using the extractor I would have to take a front loader tractor there. I mean, obviously the Massey would work for us just because it's got the front loader and it's capable of hauling the extractor around. So it's not a bad setup, but it's another tractor I would have to take out for contracting. At the moment we kind of do it with two tractors. The John Deere hauls the mowing kit, the Deutz will haul the baler wrapper, and we'll do each field just that. And then once that's all done, I go round after we've finished all of the bale contracts with the bale collector, just collect all the bales and get them delivered. But taking another tractor out there and having to pick up each bale and wrap it, it's an added hassle. So looks like we're out of diesel. Looks like I'm stuck. Gonna need to buy some more again. Let's get some delivered. 5,000 litres or let's go 2,000. Harvester's really the biggest thing we have. And there we go. So that's topped off. We do have a diesel tank at every farm. What we don't have is a maintenance shop. So all of the maintenance has to happen here. I think, as I said, our soybean fields are all at the other farm. And since I am expecting, although it's not the first time expecting, oh, this is messed up, hasn't it? Yes, indeed. Yeah, since I'm expecting the soybeans to be ready to harvest next month, the first thing, please don't do that. The first thing we're going to be doing is harvesting our soybean fields and getting those prepped, hopefully on September 1, and then we're going to go out and do contracts either on September 2 or 3. Also interested, that field to the left of us looks like it's a soybean field, which could mean that buying it and harvesting it is not going to seriously impact environmental score. That's one of the things I'm trying to nurse, is the level of our environmental score. So if you buy a field with crop in, you can't necessarily deal with how it was planted, so the tillage bonus, and you technically